me on the doll where Quentin Tarantino hurt you.
Showtime. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lynn.
Now let's kill that fucking band.
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
Shut the fucking door, please.
And last but not least, the podcaster, packing heat, Tony 2.0.
That fucking idiot doesn't know rat shit from Rice Krispies.
Nice. This week we will be discussing the 1996 vampire movie Dusk Till Dawn, directed by Robert Rodriguez, written by Robert Kurtzman and Quentin Tarantino, starring George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, and the great Quentin Tarantino. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, go watch half of it, then come back and listen to the podcast. Okay. Hope I didn't tip my hat too far on that.
Yeah, we knew what you were going for.
Let's do some quick facts on this one. I just got one. This was George Clooney's first movie role. And in my opinion, for the first hour of the movie, it was the best I've ever seen him. I really loved his character for the first 42 minutes. Fucking unbelievable. Lynn, what do you got on this one?
So the first one is that Salma Hayek has a terrible fear of snakes and asked Rodriguez if she could do the scene without the snake, just do the dance. And he was like, nope, we're doing a snake. And she fought him. And so fucking Robert Rodriguez told her that Madonna had agreed to do the role. And she was like, oh, and she went out and she took 2 months to take psychotherapy to not be afraid of the snakes.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So she could do it because she was like, no, I'll do it. So she did that. And then the other thing was several people were considered for the role of Seth Gecko, including Michael Madsen, Antonio Banderas, and Christopher Walken, which kind of would have been a strange choice. I think he would have been a little too old at that point, but like you said, it's Clooney's first role, and he met Quentin Tarantino when Quentin Tarantino directed an episode of ER. So that's where they met, and that's why he chose him.
Everybody was so baby-faced in this movie. It was crazy. Even a man who could never have a baby face seemed a little baby-faced, but we'll get to it a little bit later. I was like, whoa, holy shit. That dude doesn't look too fucking crispy.
You're talking about Danny Trejo?
Oh, yes, I am.
I think it's more like baggy, but crispy's a good one too.
Ooh, holy
I
shit.
love him.
Me too. Mikki, what
I
do you
do
got
too,
on
but
this?
he also
Anything?
spent a lot of time in the sun, obviously.
Yeah, and he also looks like he learned to eat with a fork with this fucking blindfold on.
Those build character, Des. Come on.
With those pox.
Yeah, those character pockmarks.
I think my only fact is this, and I may be wrong, but I think this was Salma Hayek's first big movie role too, right?
Yeah, it kind of was. So she had been in I think it was like a telenovela type show and was very famous for it. And then I think she actually did Desperado before this.
Oh, okay.
That's the one with Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
But I think that was the only thing she had done. And Robert Rodriguez gave her shot to be in that movie and then let her do this one. So I think it just kind of rolled into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Tony, do you have anything on this movie?
I really enjoyed it as well. As far as Robert Rodriguez, it's the classic over the top, but so worth it. You know, he's, how do we say this? In that style genre, he's masterful. You know, lots of good stuff. Clooney, I did enjoy as well, only because it's such an interesting role when you look at what he did versus what he's done from there. Yeah. He's not usually this guy. You know what I mean?
No.
He's kind of found a new dimension. Not only that, but he's that guy who, you know, he's a true psychopath, but he's also controlling and intelligent, and he's able to calm himself down and, you know, and keep his brother in line. And he plays a lot of really good facets as Seth Gecko and does a good job of trying to keep things together, and it's all going straight to hell. So I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, there's that scene, and it's way ahead in the bar, and they're in trouble, and he says, Richie, back on the clock. And you see Richie just snap right back into, and I was like, that was pretty good acting, but it was like also really cool to see like that brotherhood between the two of them.
Yeah. All right. So let's move directly into the Fast Five. Fast Five today is going to be classic character showdown. So, guys, I'm going to give you one actor, and then I'm going to give you two characters that they played in different movies, and you're going to tell me which character was the superior character for that actor. So, actor number one is going to be John Travolta. John Travolta. And your two choices are Tony Manero from Staying Alive, a movie that we all highly enjoyed, especially Mikki. I think it was your first perfect score, right? Okay. And the second character will be one Vincent Vega. And that's from Pulp Fiction. Mikki, which character was the superior character for John Travolta?
I got to go with Vinny Vega.
Vincent Vega. And Tony, what do you got?
Oh, you poor misguided child. Tony Manero, far and away. Come on. Vincent Vega is just a bit part in the movie. He's not a lead. Come on. Not only that, but he doesn't strut, for Jesus' sake.
And Dylan, what do you got?
Oh, this is tough. Can't I just choose Vinnie Barbarino?
Nope.
Nice. That would have been a good one.
I'm going to go Vincent Vega just because I enjoy that movie more.
And the correct answer is Tony Manero. Hey, Jackie. Okay. Okay. Number two, the actress is Winona Ryder. And the two characters are one, Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice, no?
Oh, yeah.
And the other, Mia Wallace, also from Pulp Fiction. Mikki,
That
which...
was not Winona Ryder.
Yeah, you're a little off on that one, bro.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Uma Thurman.
Okay, so I'm going to give you two actors
I was
for
like,
this
wait.
one. We've got...
When did she get that role?
We have Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz, or what's her face is Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction. Which character was better?
Wait a minute. First we're doing two actors, or one actor doing two roles. Now we're doing two different people.
It's because he screwed up.
Just
He
for
screwed
this
up.
one,
Okay.
just for this
All right.
one character.
10-4.
Lydia Dietz.
And Tony.
I'm going Uma Thurman.
And Dylan.
Beetlejuice. Lydia Dietz.
The correct answer is Mia Wallace. Because Pulp Fiction is a way better movie, and that's a way better character. 2 for 2. Okay, number 4. Sorry for the mistake there. They looked very similar to me in
I was like, wait.
my gummied state. Number 4. The actor is Bruce Willis. And the characters are Butch Coolidge. That would also be from Pulp Fiction. Or John McClane from Die Hard. Mikki, which character is better?
John McClane.
And Tony.
Absolutely John McClane from the greatest Christmas movie ever made.
And Dylan.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, John McClane.
Yes, the correct answer is John McClane. And have you guys noticed that each one of these movies so far has featured a Quentin Tarantino film? For each one of these
picked
questions.
it up.
Okay,
we took a long way around to get there, but we have that going on.
And number 5, this is the big one, and I think this one is tricky. One Quentin Tarantino, one of the most underrated actors out there. People actually say he can't act and he ruins his own movies. I could not disagree more. I love every character he's ever played. I think he's fabulous. Your two characters are Jimmy Dimmock, or Mr. Brown. Okay, so Jimmy Dimmock was from Pulp Fiction, and Mr. Brown was from Reservoir Dogs. Mikki, which character's better?
Mr. Brown.
And Tony.
I'm going to throw off and go with the Pulp Fiction.
And Lynn.
Mr. Brown.
Oh, come on. Jimmy Dimmock is the absolute superior character, one of Quentin Tarantino's best. I absolutely loved him in that movie. Tony is 5 for 5. Let's give him a hand. And you girls didn't get hardly one right. You got one right.
I mean,
John McClane.
I'm still not sure that your word is law, but okay, dude.
My word is law. These aren't opinions. These are facts. Tell the boys on Breaking Vinyl all the time. These are facts.
Okay, sure.
Okay. There. Okay. So let's do a quick box office. This movie had a budget of $19 million and it had a box office gross of $59.3 million. So this movie was considered a huge success. Okay, let's do nice little so a little opening thought on this. Why not? So I had never seen this movie before, which was surprising when you guys said, "Hey, haven't Dust on?" I'm like, "I think so," and I was like, oh, "I've never seen it." So yeah, never seen it. It's a fresh watch for me. Mikki, I know you've seen it because you requested it, correct?
Well, Tony actually suggested it, but I have seen it multiple times.
Okay. And Tony, how about you?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I've seen it before and truly enjoyed it. It's got a lot of homage in it, and I love that about Rodriguez. And the shot at the end, I won't ruin it till we get there, but that's one of my favorites as you pan back at the end of the movie. So
Yes,
definitely a great film. Not only that, but an underappreciated Harvey Keitel in this movie, just because he's got such range and
he's a good guy
Jacob.
here.
Yeah,
he's a good guy,
yeah.
which is a little
Well,
different.
he's always good. Maybe not a good guy in the movie, but he's always a good actor. So love him when he does his thing.
Bad Lieutenant, one of my favorite Keitel performances.
Yeah. Disasters.
Yes. And Lynn.
Yeah, I've seen this many, many, many times. I think the first time I saw it, I did not care for it because I was watching one movie and then it turned into another movie. And I was like, I'm confused. But then I saw it several times later and really enjoyed it. So I adjusted my feelings on that.
Yeah, I was confused. Felt like Quentin Tarantino wrote half of an amazing movie and then said, "Hey, why don't you finish it? We'll get there."
Yeah, well,
Okay,
I'll just explain it very quickly. So Kurtzman had this entire movie written for the Titty Twister on. And he gave it to Quentin Tarantino, and Quentin Tarantino said, "This is great. I love it. Let me do a screenplay for you." So he said, "Okay." And Quentin Tarantino wrote the first half of the movie to go with Kurtzman's story at the end. So that's why you end up with this tale of two movies, you know?
Yeah, it's wow. Talk about feeling two fucking fingerprints. Like you get for first 40 minutes, it's like masterful storytelling, masterful character building, bringing me through backstories and future prospects effortlessly. And I'm engaged to the max. And then suddenly it's Big Trouble in Little China. It's a mess. So, all right, let's do this. Here's the synopsis. Two criminals and their hostages unknowingly seek temporary refuge in a truck stop populated by vampires with chaotic results. There you go.
All right, shall we get into the breakdown?
Yes.
Let's do it. So Texas Sheriff Edgar McGraw pulls up to an isolated liquor store in Texas called Benny's World of Liquor. Once inside, he speaks with the shopkeeper. He then goes to use the restroom. As soon as he's inside the bathroom, the Gecko brothers, Seth and Richie, two desperado-type criminals, appear with two hostages and guns pointed at the shopkeeper, apparently in the store the whole time. Seth threatens the shopkeeper and tells him to be cool. The sheriff returns shortly after and goes to pay. While talking to the shopkeeper, Richie kills the sheriff, claiming that the clerk was signaling for help. The brothers get into a shootout with the clerk, ending in the clerk on fire and the liquor store blowing up. Seth angrily lectures Richie on the lack of being able to keep a low profile. Driving away, it is revealed that they also have a hostage in the trunk as our opening credits roll. So this guy, the sheriff, shows up in several other Quentin Tarantino movies, despite being killed in this one. Tarantino liked him and the vibe that he brought. And also worth noting, like I had just said, I wrote this down. So that this part is his script. You know, he's the one that filled out all the backstory. And before you get to the Titty Twister.
Yeah. All right. So after a lot of like retard jokes in the front end of this scene, which I thought it was funny, but it just shows like how much more you could get away with back then. So we get all these jokes and then we get this classic Tarantino scene full of ultra violence. I mean, so Reservoir Dogs. I'm going to use this a lot. The Ranger's death. It was great when he goes down. This actor's making these really great faces as he's dying. I thought it was amazing. We get Pete being burned alive. This is Tarantino. It's torture porn. And as they speed off in the car, we get this ultra graphic shot of Richard's hand with a hole in it. It's so Tarantino. It's so good. I'm blown away. And then we get this even more imaginative shot of the woman trapped in the car trunk.
That was fantastic.
This is Tarantino at his absolute very best. I put it right there with Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill. It's fucking great. Yeah.
Yep.
Mikki,
Yeah.
what do you got?
I loved that whole first scene because the first time you see the two girls in the back looking in the case and you don't think anything of it. But then you realize, oh, the boys are back there, holding those girls hostage. And the clerk was so cool. And then my favorite part of that whole, I don't know why, I just thought it was so badass when the clerk was back there and he's hiding underneath the bar and everybody's shooting at each other, and George Clooney is on the ground and he goes, Seth, when I say it, shoot the bottles, and he kicks the thing, the lighter fluid. I'm just like, God damn, you're fucking badass. Like he's and he's so fucking cool through the whole thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's the guy that I want in my corner. You know what I mean? He's just so badass. I loved that whole scene. And then, like you said, with the woman in the trunk, like, that was so perfect. That was such a perfect, like, oh, now I'm putting the two and two together. Yep.
Yeah. It's so good. I'm completely engorged at this point. Tony, what do you got?
Engorged, mind you.
Engorged or engaged?
Yeah.
I think he means engorged because he's got a stiffy.
I'm engorged.
Oh God,
that was an aggressive word. Can you spell it? Engorged.
I can.
Just like it sounds, baby. E-N-gorged.
E-N-G-O-R-G-E-D. Engorged.
Look at you.
Very
Did I spell
good.
it right?
Yes, you did.
I wish Fee was here to see it. Okay, great. Getting smarter every day. Tony, what do you got on this opening sequence?
I can't say much more than you guys have already touched on. I think the only thing I want to throw in there to add, just a little kind of wonderful homage to action in general. Like Tarantino, even the idea of the sound effects he uses for gunshots are in your face. Everything is, I think it's, I don't know. How do we say it? He's got an ability to use sound kind of aggressively. You know what I mean? If it's the hammer on the revolver getting pulled back, you hear it in the last row just as clear as you do in the front. Everything that's going on in that scene is well shot and well sounding, because there's not, sometimes you get a guy and he's mumbling or you can't hear it or whatever. He's up in your grill. He's got mics all over the place. He does a great job with it. And, although being a bartender for many years, a lot of that booze won't light on fire, but I don't give a shit. It's a great scene. Yeah. It's masterfully thought out. And Pete's got to die because that's what we're doing here. So he unfortunately goes out in a blaze of glory, no pun intended. And then when he gets up and tries to shoot them while burning to death, I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But his use of the soundtrack is also incredible. God, I miss the 90s. Just for the music, but Blasters and Jimmy Vaughn and SRV and ZZ Top and Tito and the Tarantula, the band from the Titty Twister, are just great. I mean, it's almost like period music to the idea that it fits in the Southwest, U.S. and the Mexico border. It's like music meant for the film, if you will, but just really masterfully done.
No, the music is perfect.
Yeah, once this movie morphs into a bad version of Lost Boys, it really has that feel with the great soundtrack and the crazy look and the fucking everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we move on?
Yes.
All right. They check into a motel and discuss their plan to flee to Mexico and meet Seth's contact, Carlos, for sanctuary. In a very tongue-in-cheek, natural-born killers type of newscast, a news story is shown about the Gecko brothers and their atrocities. Seth returns to the motel to discover that Richie has sexually assaulted and murdered the hostage. Seth scolds the insane Richie and realizes that they're now going to need a new hostage. The brothers then run into Pastor Jake Fuller and his two kids, teenage daughter Kate and adopted son Scott. They kidnap the family and hijack their RV, forcing them to drive to Mexico. The group is stopped at the border and the RV is searched by a customs agent, but the brothers are hiding in the bathroom with Kate. Jake is able to smooth talk the border guards and they're permitted to enter Mexico. Seth declares that he'll let the family live because of their calmness during the border stop. He instructs Jake on how to get to the meeting spot, the Titty Twister bar in the middle of the desert. So we're about to get the switch from one movie to the other, but we should obviously take a moment here. We get a very clear picture of who Richie is between the liquor store and the hostage. The quick cuts you get of the bloody room when Seth comes back in, and it's like you just see a flash of blood on the wall, and it was, to me, that was scarier than if they had shown everything. Like, I was like, whoa, that totally gave me the heebie-jeebies. And I just mentioned Natural Born Killers. This movie came out 2 years after Natural Born Killers, and I think that it's a testament to Juliette Lewis's talent that she could be this unhinged killer in a movie 2 years ago, and then she was believable as a young woman, like a God-fearing woman to me.
She's amazing. Like, she's honestly one of my favorite actors out there, because she has such a good range. Like, when she was in Cape Fear, like that whole scene that she did in Robert De Niro with Cape Fear in the theater, like that was one take.
Wow.
She just blows my mind. She's so good. And I remember one of the most, that scene, like you were describing in the hotel room when he comes back and realizes that he's killed the woman. That scene has always stuck in my mind because of those flashes. And then the flashes with George, with that, and then you have George Clooney just like what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
shell shocked.
Like, you're my brother, and what the fuck is wrong with you? And like, just he doesn't even say anything. He's just, I have to say, I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm a George Clooney fan, but I fucking loved him in this movie. Just honestly, for those scenes, he was fabulous.
Yeah, Des, what do you think about these scenes?
Not a huge George Clooney fan either, but I was blown away by his performance on this. He was rocking the screen. He seemed really tough to me. He seemed really cool. He was a really great character. It's amazing, though. This movie also looks like it was shot by two different directors, because you're not going to get any scenes like these flash scenes you're talking about, these murder flash scenes, or these really clever shots of being able to see the woman in the trunk, or these shots where it will cut off a face, like off of Seth's face, and then back on, and then off, and then on, and change distances each time. Like, these are tricks that you see in Tarantino movies. And once we get to the bar, all of this is gone. It's now just shot like Army of Darkness, like movies I've seen a million times before. And yes, but I think Tarantino was so great. And he reminds me of another actor. He reminds me of Crispin Glover. He's creepy. He's awkward. He's good. And I really loved him in this character as a serial killer. Just really good.
I was thinking the same thing, Des. Crispin Glover. Like, he's so fucking quirky and weird and just odd. But I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I don't know why people don't like his shit. So from the exposition between, I just going to bring this up because it shows how great this storytelling and character building is at this point in the movie. I mean, after the Roadhouse, there's nothing left to explain. It's just like, plot's over. Enjoy this fucking gore fest. This goofy B. All right, whatever. So between the exposition between the Ranger and Pete at the beginning of the movie, I knew the woman in the trunk was a bank teller that was being held hostage from a bank robbery. And I mean, I knew this right when they showed that scene of her in the trunk, through the car. That just proves how tight this storytelling is. And then when I found out in the hotel room that she actually was, I went, wow, they really are doing a great job here. It just drew me in even more. Writer, great job of giving us backstories and back characters and plot points through really easy to understand exposition. Like, you barely had to be paying attention and they were filling you in all the blanks that you needed. Specifically between Jacob and his daughter, you get a lot there. And then directly after that, you're going to get the news report that's going to fill in the rest of the blanks, what the brothers did, what the plan is, blah, 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 blah. Brilliant storytelling. Like you guys said, I love when Seth realizes that the hostage is missing and we're going to get the first crack in the armor between these two. He realizes his brother's a really sick individual. He's a rapist. He's a murderer. And it's troubling. It's really great. And in the trailer, you notice Richard glaring at Kate in a blurry background behind the scene that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he starts having these like delusions that he thinks is real. It's terrifying. This
Yeah.
character is fucking terrifying.
Mhm.
And just
And
a couple
Seth
other.
sees it. Seth sees it, and Seth is like, "I see what's happening there."
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
during the
there's no conference between the two. Seth
No.
knows Richie as well as he knows himself,
Right.
Mhm.
and he heads it off at the pass a couple of times.
Well, that's why he's
But-
like, no talking, no talking. You don't need to talk to them because he knows as soon as he starts going.
Mhm.
yeah, he's
right.
setting
Not
up.
only that,
he's
but
setting up to
Richie
kill.
says, "Hey, you've been gone for a long time," and he went to go get cheeseburgers and soft drinks. What was that? Maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Richie
Yeah.
took advantage because he was left alone, unsupervised, and he does what Richie does in the movie, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
So
The door shut,
Sadly.
and he was all over her.
Right.
And you guys made a good point. When Seth is telling Jacob, just do what I say, you're gonna survive this. I mean, we just got finished hearing him tell the bank teller this,
Yep.
and I think that honestly, Seth felt really bad for the bank teller, and he realized, how unhinged his brother is. And I believe when he's telling Jacob, play along, you and your family will live. I feel like he wants to believe what he's saying, but he also knows that his brother is hell bent on, torturing and killing this family. Yeah. And then at the border stop, we see the first real crack between Seth and Richard, where he's like, you're a sick fuck, basically, and he has to knock him out. So,
And
yeah,
that was such a
great scene.
fucking badass scene too. I was telling to Tony when we were watching the other night. I'm like, I love that when he's just like going on and on and on, and you can see George Clooney like, oh my god, shut up, shut up, shut up, and then he's just like, whap, and he's like cracks his neck, and I'm like, god damn, he's cool.
Oh, it's so great. It's so great. It's so great. Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
in keeping in the classic Tarantino, when I listen to Seth's words, I hear Samuel L. Jackson speaking sometimes because of those characters are built out of the same mold. When they're in the diner and they take all the wallets with Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth, and he's like, "Everybody be cool. We're all gonna be like little Fonzies," and I'm like, "That's Seth Gecko. It's just
Yeah.
a 6'3" black guy now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same
Yeah.
mold. It's just a different character. And it's a
Yeah.
great, the way he phrases things and the lines he uses are, they're classics, man.
Yeah.
We're going to get the Samuel Jackson speeches. We're going to get the speech between, the white guy holding up the diner in the beginning of Pulp Fiction. This is also Tarantino.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think one of the things about Tarantino's movies that I don't tend to like is sometimes he gets so wordy that he loses me. Like Death Proof was like that for me. It was so much talking. I just was like, I'm tapping out. I'm tapping out. I couldn't sit through it. But most of the time, as long as he keeps it moving with some action, I can do it.
Yeah. The only other problem I had is we're going to get introduced to Cheech Moran's first character as a border guard here.
But this was done on
is
purpose.
It's a
They
fucking
did this on
problem.
purpose.
It's
They
a
did it
fucking
on
problem.
purpose.
Why?
They did it on purpose.
Why?
Because it's a callback to the weird 70s and 80s movies that would do that would use the same actor for multiple roles.
Yeah,
Right.
this movie didn't feel 60s, 70s enough to be doing. I wasn't putting it together. This felt like a 90s movie, and I saw Cheech Moran rolled out 3 fucking times. I'm like, okay.
Wait a minute.
You're really
You
into
just
Pulp
saw-
Fiction. You know
just
all
saw
about it.
Fred Williamson in a movie and didn't get called back to the 70s. Come on, baby.
I mean, I was wondering why they kept
You were not a
trying
big
to-
blaxploitation guy. I know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But you can't give me Cheech Moran, a recognizable actor like that, playing 3 characters in the same fucking movie. I was like, come on, this is stupid. Why are we
No.
doing
Yeah, but
that?
you got to remember too, just like we can see the hallmarks of Tarantino, that's one of the hallmarks of Rodriguez.
Yeah.
A, he loves Cheech
distracting.
Marin, and B, it's the kind of thing where he's actually believable because he's kind of a dick as the guy from Customs. And then he, and then as the I don't know, what would you call him?
The bouncer.
The street hawker, basically,
Yeah.
out in front of the Titty Twister. He's hilarious with the goofy makeup and the shitty beard and the, you just gotta like the genre of the movie because that's the way they're doing it here.
The only
Yeah,
way
it's
this
supposed to be
works-
schlocky.
Yeah.
The only way this works for me is and this is where Tarantino has lost control of the script. If this was a real Tarantino movie, there would have been a reason that he was all 3 of those characters. Like you would have been like, oh my God, no, he's the devil or whatever. and he keeps showing up. It would have been something like that. And you would have been like, oh, that's why. But no, they're just like, here's Cheech again. Here's Cheech again. Here's Cheech again. It's like, all right. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you just don't know how to have fun.
No, I do. This wasn't fun.
You're a
All
hard
right.
man, Des. You're a hard man.
At the door, Seth gets into a fight with the head bouncer, Cheese Marin, in his second role of the movie, outside the club, who tries to stop them from entering. Once inside, they have a few drinks and enjoy the girls dancing on the tables. Soon, Santanico Pandemonium performs. Towards the end of her act, the bouncer returns and tells the bartender and others what happened. When they confront the group, the crazy Richie pulls out a gun and one of the bartenders stabs his already shot hand to the table, and another gunfight ensues. The brothers are able to get things under control until Santanico sees the puddle of Richie's blood on the table and transforms into a hideous beast-like vampire and attacks Richie, biting him on the neck. Seth is able to shoot Santanico off of Richie, but Richie's gonna die anyway. Sorry, brother. Not long after, the bouncer and the bartenders also rise from the dead, and they are also beast-like and vampires. And them and all the dancers, who are also vampires, lock the door and begin brutally feeding on the bar patrons. There's a prolonged fight where most of the patrons of the bar are eaten by vampires, but the family and Seth survive, as well as two other bar patrons, a Vietnam vet, Frost, and a biker with a crotch gun named Sex Machine. And if you do not recognize Sex Machine, that is Tom Savini, who was in Dawn of the Dead and is a famous special effects artist. He's also the actor that sits down with him and has his beer stolen when he uses the little whip is Greg Nicotero, who was doing special effects on this movie, but is also very famous for his work on The Walking Dead.
Nice.
What do you think, Des?
You got lots of facts tonight. I like it.
I'm bringing it. I've got the fire.
You're bringing the fire. Yeah, so the Tiny Twister, before I realized I was because I had no idea what to expect from this movie. None. So we go into the Tiny Twister. I'm like, all right, this is cool.
Wait, the Tiny Twister?
Oh, sorry, the Titty
Twister?
The Titty Twister. The tiny.
It's pronounced Titty Twister.
the tiny Titty Twister. So I will give
I don't know.
you this.
Some of them were rather good size.
We get the Cheech Moran character, the second character, but how can you not like this pussy rant? I mean, it's fucking funny. Every kind of pussy you can imagine, they've got. And if you can find a cheaper one, fuck it. I thought that was so fucking funny. I was fucking laughing my ass off. Like I said earlier, Danny Trejo looked so great in this. He was so young and he almost was handsome. Almost. I was like, holy shit, Danny Trejo, you go. Dylan, the Sex Machine crotch gun. As soon as this came out in like that fast motion, I went, uh-oh, where are we going here? This is now becoming like Monty Python or something. It's getting weird. When this thing becomes a vampire movie, it becomes over the top satire. Like they were telling me this is no longer a serious movie. Like the zombies were like people in tights and suits with like Thriller makeup. Dude, it was outrageously B and campy. Fully intended. But that's not good. Of course It was the point. I mean, they were using special effects that were clearly made, like when the guy's head explodes, to be funny. But
Yes.
I was just completely engulfed in this amazing mystery, robbery, serial killer, dark Tarantino, masterfully shot piece of artwork like Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction. And I was so deep in it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see how this ends. What's the hook going to be? What are we doing here? And no, that's it. They're like, okay, now we're in a new movie. And I didn't like it at all.
I couldn't tell.
So you had no idea, so first off, I don't care who you are, Salma Hayek comes out in a freaking bikini and a python. I got a boner.
Dude.
Okay.
Fucking total
checking
pants
out.
tent.
Checking
Pants
out.
tent.
Checking
Yes.
out.
Yeah,
Now.
were you dead?
Oh.
Not only that, but think about this place, right? We're out in the middle of Nowheresville, Mexican border area. It's a fucking desert and 30 miles in any direction. And it's now all of a sudden the hottest thing since Studio 54. Hello.
Now,
Get the reality check.
but here's the thing though, weren't you, there's supposed to be it's no reality check. It's fucking
No, I meant the idea of this is like a roadhouse, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Yet it's fantastically decorated. It's got the hottest women in the whole world. And these two dudes are these guys are going to meet their connection there, whatever. And to the point of, it's a fictional concept in and of itself. And then it becomes even more fictionalized by the idea that it's really just a trap to.
But Des, when you were watching this and you saw, like, did you not have any idea that something was a little wonky when Salma Hayek came out and was like,
No, this is when it started, when I went, oh my God, they're not going to like meet Mr. Brown here. And there's not going to be like a torture, scene in the back where they're interrogating someone. And then I thought maybe the vampire would be like, at the end, it would be revealed that it was like, Seth's brother, like Quentin Tarantino. And I'd be like, oh, I should have known. No, it's not. The writing stops at the Titty Twister. Like they stopped writing. Plot, characters, everything just.
I will say I hated one thing, and I know it was supposed to be cheesy, and it was delightfully cheesy. But what I hated was when the band's instruments turned into like flesh people. Like I didn't like that.
That was the one thing I wrote down that I thought was actually, I was like, oh, he's playing a fucking body. It was because it was just camp beyond belief.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you the difference of opinion we can have here on this wonderful show.
Yeah, but it was ridiculous. No, but Mikki, I'm with you. It was ridiculous. It wasn't good. It wasn't like when they dug the guy's eyeball out, the cop's eyeball out in Reservoir Dogs. It was
right.
It was just. I don't know, man. The only part I did like was when Seth puts down his brother. And he puts him down like a sick dog. He knows he can't save this guy. He knows this guy is like deeply sick and he doesn't approve of his brother being a serial killer. So I felt the relief there. And that was the last grain of Tarantino that I felt in this movie, was that last little bit of character building and development and the goodbye between Seth and Richard. But it was, yeah, it's like Pee-wee's.
How was that again?
It's like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Army of Darkness, like, and I don't know, like The Blob or Night of, I don't know.
What?
It's fucking bad.
Yeah, I don't think
It's
Pee-wee's
not.
Big Adventure is known for its incredible script writing and depth, but okay.
No, the Titty Twister like could have been the strip joint in like Pee-wee's land, like
No, it
Large
couldn't.
Marge
Trying
stops
to
there
use
for
the
drinks.
phone.
Large Marge stops there for drinks and her eyes pop out and everybody goes, ooh.
That was an
it's
awesome
like,
scene.
It was.
Yeah.
And it belonged here.
Tell him Large Marge sent ya.
I love it. We should do that one.
God. We will do that. Well, you said you wanted to do it with Pat, and then you watched 5 minutes of it with him having Mr. T breakfast going, "Good morning, Pee-wee," and you said, "That's it. I can't watch any more of this."
I tapped out.
You tapped out of
Holy
Big
shit.
Adventure.
I tapped out at breakfast. Go ahead.
Oh, time for me to move on?
I
All right.
guess if anybody has anything else to say about these scenes. Okay.
No, sounds good. Oh, and just so you know, the blood was green because they were using it to try to get by the censors as much as possible.
Yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
want the dreaded NC-17 rating, which at the time
Yeah.
was the death knell for most movies.
I wonder
Yep.
if that's why they put the little orange mark on the sights on the handguns. Did you notice that in the opening scene,
No.
Tony? That Seth's gun had the little orange paint on the sight at the tip.
Believe it or not, on a black firearm, you will find people who do that. A lot of times they actually use, if they can find a glow-in-the-dark paint, that's great. If not, you can just use common nail polish, because the front sight disappears. The back sight is black. The front sight is black. And if you have a black background, you can't see where you're aiming. So it's just to kind of have your eye catch it so that you can know kind of where you're putting that front
I
sight.
like that detail. I like
You're
that
so
detail.
smart.
Yeah, you know, that's why he's Tony 2.0, the podcaster who's packing heat because he knows his shit. Okay. Go before Tony has to shoot you.
All right. Seth goes to find his brother's body, and when he does say his goodbyes, Richie turns into a vampire as well and attacks. After a moment, Seth decides to, quote-unquote, kill Richie by staking him. Seth does a bunch of shots as the remaining group starts to hear a swarm of bats surrounding the bar. The bats will have to wait because the bitten bar patrons are now vampires, and they have to stake them all too. During this operation, Sex Machine gets bitten and hides his arm in a jacket. While the group is listening to Frost tell the tale of a terrible night in Vietnam, Sex Machine begins to transform and eventually bites Frost and then Jake. Before Frost transforms, he grabs Sex Machine and in a fit of anger throws him through a boarded up window, allowing all the bats inside. Seth, Kate, and Scott run for a back room and try to figure out their next move. I know it's so cheesy. I love the scene when the bats come in and Frost is transformed and he's like, with a point. I love it. It's so bad. It's fantastic. Des, what'd you think?
Dude, so here's the thing, okay? If I didn't watch 45 minutes of a great movie and this movie had just started off like this and this is what I came in for, I'd be fine with it. But you can't do this. So they're trying to make me care about these characters now at this point. Like, Jacob is telling his kids, when I change, just kill me. I don't give a fuck because they've stopped the character building completely. We are now in just this fucking like video game zombie garbage fucking plot. And it's just, there's nothing. Now it's just, we're trapped in this locked room with fucking vampires with, marshmallow mustard fucking heads.
Marshmallow mustard.
Yeah, as in that's what they're using for special effects, like ketchup and fucking fluffy butter.
They can join our marshmallow ghoulie rave from The Descent.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so what started off as incredible writing, incredible storytelling, devolved into terrible dialogue and goofy, meaningless scene after scene, just to give me weird, bad satire kills. It was so bad. It almost resonated. I don't know. This isn't even a good vampire movie. That's the problem. Like, it devolves into a below average vampire movie. I don't even.
The whole point of it is schlock, though. That you're missing that point.
But no,
and I mean,
but I'm not.
But here's the thing: you watch this once, and we've all seen it a couple times, so we kind of know what we're getting into when we watch it again, and you kind of can appreciate it for what it is. It's almost like it's hurt you because, like, show me on the doll where Quentin Tarantino hurt you.
Yeah, he hurt me. He hurt me when he agreed to put the front half of this movie on that piece of shit. Like, he should have just rated some more trash. There was fucking vampire trash. He should have rated some vampire trash. And hooked it on, and he should have fucking saved his amazing half a fucking manuscript and fucking finished it. He should have righted it. He should have righted the second half of that movie. Mikki, are you taking a write-it-in class? I heard you were taking a write-it-in class.
Dude.
Actually, Mick, all I can think of is it hurted.
It hurted.
It did hurted.
You guys.
It hurted Des in his poor sensibilities.
Yeah. So it wasn't that I hated the second half.
I was in Maryland. I saw this girl. She had a really pretty tattoo. She was like a cashier at like Pizza Hut or something. I said, "Oh my God, I love your tattoo." She goes, "Oh my God, it hurted so bad."
Oh no.
And I literally went, "Honey, hurted. Sit down. Hurted is not a word."
You're a shepherd?
She was like, so that's why I was laughing so hard when you said, "Write it in."
Right, it did.
I heard those sheep.
It hurted.
Oh my God.
Well,
it's kind of scary. But when Mikki has to give a grammar lesson to a girl, I'm just like, she came and told me that, and she goes, "You're never going to believe what happened." And I'm like, "No, really. I worked in that area. I know exactly what you're talking about."
I got a better one. A friggin' county executive in Frederick. I was in a meeting, and somebody said something, and he went, "I knowed it."
I knowed it. Of course, we all knowed it.
I'm sorry, not the county executive, but he was like on the. Like, I'm like, really? You're
on the county commissioners.
Really? I knowed it.
You know who you are if you're listening, you dumbass.
Was that Kirby?
No, it wasn't. No,
wasn't Kirby. Okay.
No.
Oh boy!
Don't name names. You never know who's listening.
Don't name names.
Well, and I won't use his full name.
Oh God, that's funny.
Names have been changed to protect the innocent.
That's right.
I put that in the last Breaking Vinyl. I did that whole thing. I whipped it up with the music, and the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
That's why when you said I rated it, I could not stop laughing.
Okay, yeah, like I said, it's not that I hated the second half of this movie. It's just
it sounds like it.
Yeah, it does.
No, I just hated the second half of this movie for the first half. Like, that's it. I just didn't like the. Okay. All right, so I didn't like the way they knitted together. It didn't work for me. Okay, that's what I want to say.
That's fair.
But the second half's fine. If I was going into it to watch a satire vampire movie, it's fine.
Right.
I mean, when I went to see it, I knew that there was vampires because that was the whole point. Like everyone's like, it's a vampire movie. And I was like watching the beginning going like, what the fuck is this? Where are the vampires? So depends on where you're coming from too,
Right.
you know?
Well,
I will
exactly.
say, and it's really, I know it's like super goofy and supposed to be campy and cheesy, but I wish they had done the vampire makeup a little better.
You think it's terrible?
Like Salma Hayek is a fucking babe, and she wasn't even a cool looking vampire.
She was a lizard.
Yeah, she looked like a snake.
It
Yeah,
was
she
stupid.
looked like a snake, but I think that was
I
on
guess it
purpose.
was
That's why she had the
the
snake.
general and non-traditional. Plus, apparently, her name, golly, I'm trying to think of it now. Tell me
Santanico Pandemonium.
Thank you. That is actually a horror film from Mexico that Rodriguez watched as a kid, and he liked it, so he stole the name and gave it to her. But it's the kind of thing where, you know, this is not a horror film. It's not meant to be, you know, so, oh my God, over the top scary that you're shitless. It's more to the idea that, I don't know, everything is pushed boundary wise. You know, it's crazy stuff and, you know, lizards and whatever, even to the point where, you know, action stops in the scenes where they have to talk during the fight. You can see people in the background just kind of standing there like, dun, 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 dun. Oh, right, we're fighting the vampires. It's like everything just slows down in time, and then I was like, let's pick it back up again because now we're done with that. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Like legitimately, if you look behind them during some of the fight scenes, you just have people in vampire costumes running behind them like this. And it's like, wouldn't you stop and grab the dude?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the first half of the movie doesn't make any sense with the second half either. Like, I could write something so much like to get them to that bar. Like, what does all this bank robbery and all this shit have to do with that? Nothing. Like, nothing.
Well, it's just a transshipment point, right? I'm going to meet my contact there. The goal is to get to El Rey, which is some mythical, it's like El Dorado. It's this mythical city of gold where we're going to give them money and we're going to live happily ever after or whatever bullshit.
So here's the story. Fucking Seth knows his brother Richard is a serial killer and there's something wrong with him. He's a vampire. He's got a lust for blood, but this is a Tarantino vampire that gets like murders people serial killer style and then sops their blood up and eats it and drinks it. Great. He hears about this temple in the middle of the Mexican desert. They travel out there to try and, you know, break the curse on his brother. They get there, they go in, we see the temple. There's a big reveal at the end. Whatever. There's your fucking movie.
Des, I'm sorry, but you obviously forgot the last part where your friend, Cheech Marin, goes, I don't know. I just thought it was a place we could meet out nowhere in the desert.
Yeah.
It's the idea that he says to him, literally, I didn't pick this place for any real reason. I've never been there. I just drove by it once or twice.
How satisfying.
It's the raw chance element.
Like Tarantino could write something better than that at the age of like 7. Like that.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say it's great screenwriting. Yeah,
it's just trash. Dylan, take us out of this thing.
All right. So Jake is not yet dead and makes a cross out of a bat and a shotgun and makes his way back to the remaining group. They then prepare to make a last stand against the remaining vampires. I'm gonna just stop right here for a second. I have to. Why the fuck, if you're in that back room and you have those vampires in a fucking choke point in that hallway, are you going out into that big room again? Are you fucking nuts? No, you sit there and you peg them with water balloons with holy water until everybody's dead and then you walk out of there. I play video games and I use a choke point to keep my back protected and kill the enemy. Duh.
What about when Richard and Seth hold the entire bar off with 2 handguns? Like there's not another gun in the entire bar. Nobody else is packing a gun in this fucking bar.
Bikers and truckers are notoriously anti-gun.
Like that place, like they would have pulled those 2 handguns out and there would have been 50 guns pointing at it, but not one person had a gun.
No.
This
all right.
writing just
they're all vampires, dude. They don't need guns.
Yeah.
Clearly they did.
So let's go back into it. Before they go into battle, Jacob forces his children to swear they will kill him when he turns into a vampire, and they reluctantly agree to do so. During the battle, Seth confronts Sex Machine for the final time and is almost killed, but is saved at the last minute by Kate. The vampire Frost then confronts Jake, and Jake kills him with his shotgun. The scene of him shooting the gun through Frost is amazing. I love it. A total schlock. Right after he kills Frost, he then too turns into a vampire and attacks Scott, biting him on the neck. Scott honors his father's wish and kills him, but then is swarmed by vampires. He begs Kate to kill him, and with a bit of a struggle, she does so. Now only Seth and Kate remain to fight off the vampires. They're completely outnumbered, and it seems all is lost when rays of sunlight start to come through cracks, hurting the vampires. They stay in the light until they hear Carlos banging on the door. He opens the doors, and the vampires start to explode. Death by disco ball. The vampire's combustion makes the bar explode. There's a short scene with Seth explaining to Carlos, Cheech Marin in his third role, that he unknowingly put him in a bar full of vampires. Seth is still going to El Rey, and Kate asks him if he wants company, but he tells her to go home. The very last shot of the RV is driving away from the Titty Twister, and the camera shot zooms out to reveal that the bar is actually the top portion of a very large ancient Aztec temple, which is a fucking fantastic scene.
Yeah.
It's dead.
I
Super,
concur.
yeah.
So if you like movies like Army of Darkness where they just stop telling you any story at all and you just want to watch people just like carve through fucking zombies with chainsaws, or in this case fucking poorly dressed vampires for like a half an hour, like, you're gonna love this. I don't. This doesn't work for me. I was literally just fast forwarding after like the 10th fucking vampire kill. I'm like, oh my God, is there any story left? Is there any exposition left? Is there any reason for me to just hang on? Or is this it to the end? And that was it. This was it to the end. Till they kick the door open. They go out. Cheech says, I didn't pick this place for any reason. Here's my cash. Here, you take your cash. And that's the end of the movie. And then it backs out and you see the temple. Fine. It's a great shot. Is it enough fucking candy for all the trick-or-treating I did? No, you know what it is? It's one of those orange peanuts. You know the one I'm talking about?
The circus peanut.
Yeah. You went to 50 doors. All the lights were out. The last house you go to, the light is on. She opens the door. She goes, well, it's all over. It's 9:00. You're my first trick-or-treater. I'm just going to give you this giant bowl of fucking orange peanut things. And you're like, really? This is it?
I'm sorry, but that was the greatest metaphor I've heard in recent memory. So I don't give a fuck about circus peanuts. That's awesome.
Oh, shit. I did love that Kate did not leave with Seth. I thought that was a nice touch. He's a good guy. I mean, he's a bad guy, but he's a good guy. I mean, he's basically a solid dude. And that's it.
No, he's a murderous scumbag, but he has morals.
Yes.
He has things that
there are
he
lines
will not
he will
do.
not cross.
There are lines he won't cross.
And that's why he kind of has to supervise his brother, because he knows he has no boundaries and got to keep him on the path.
But again,
I loved Death by Disco Ball. And I loved when
the exact same thing. Vampire Death by Disco Ball.
Did you?
I did.
That's funny. And I loved when not only do you see when the camera pans back and Kate's driving away, you see the temple, which obviously has housed all those vampires. But I love that you see all the trucks and the cars and the shit that has been going on for years and years and years. You see all that. I think that is so freaking cool. I also wonder. Say that again.
All the spoils.
Yeah. I also wonder, how does Kate explain where her family is? You know what I mean?
Yeah, she comes home with fucking $50,000-$60,000 and no family.
Covered in blood. With
Covered
no
in blood.
Yeah.
Well, she's got no family. Who's she's going to explain it to? Don't worry about it.
True. Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest too. Do you think that if we kill 80 people that go to that bar every night, someone isn't going to come by at some point and figure out that's the last location they were all seen at? So,
Cheech Moran and his
reality for the point of the film.
Cheech Moran and his marauders slit her throat 30 fucking minutes down the road and took that pile of cash. Which would have been a better ending.
Oh, stop.
I mean, so dude, even in a movie like Lost Boys, as cheesy as that is as a vampire movie, it looked better. It had exposition. It had plot building. It had twists. It had turns. It had a surprise ending with the father. I mean, this is just everything that the last 40 minutes of this movie was missing. It had no story. Just killing.
I even love when he's like, everything okay? And he's like, I asked for a new car. This is a 90, like,
Right.
or something. Just like-
Yeah. Yeah. That's it, Tony. What do you got on the end? Did you love it?
Love is a hard word. I think the end does the best it could do to tie up loose ends, if you will, because there is no pinnacle point you can get to after you survive that ordeal and make it all okay. You know what I mean? There is no riding off in the sunset, if you will, or whatever other metaphoric concepts you want to apply. They did the best they could with what they had. And it's the idea, too, that if you don't like Rodriguez and Tarantino, then you bought the wrong ticket. You should have gone to Theater 4 where they were showing, The Notebook or something. You missed it. So you just got to appreciate it for what it is. I hear your complaints. I understand them. I think you make good points. I think the tough part is that's what this movie is. And if you didn't like it, it is what it is.
I didn't.
I enjoy it because I just think the concept of From Dusk Till Dawn is classic. Only because I probably closed more bars in Western New York than I care to remember. And you go in and it's dark and you come out and it's light. Because we don't have last call till 4 or 4:30 in the morning. So it's pretty much light out shortly after that.
Wow.
I'm Dusk Till Dawn. It's such a great idea. The movie should have started in a small town where this bar is and it's open dusk till dawn and people are being lured there. And this is the movie. This is the movie.
It sounds like you're working on a Des screenplay, bro.
This is the movie.
Pencil these ideas down and let's do it.
I want to see.
I've been
the other
threatening
movie.
Mikki with writing a screenplay for at least 2 years now.
We rewrite endings on every Tony's Tale of Terrors. I just want to see the other half of that first Tarantino movie. That's what I want to see. I want to see from them driving in the mobile home, crossing into Mexico, cut. And now Tarantino film another fucking 40 minutes of movie and write it. That's what I want to see. Where does he go with this? If we don't do this other titty thing. Okay.
Just do the first titty thing,
Mikki,
not that other titty thing.
Mikki, end of the movie. What do you got?
Like I said, I really, I love that last scene. I do think that towards the end, some of the vampire effects and makeup were a little too cheesy. I know they were supposed to be campy, but like you could tell that one chick that she looked like she was in a suit, like a rubber suit. I just didn't like it. And I love the Death by Disco Ball. I fucking love that concept. And when he's like, why out of all the fucking shitholes in Mexico, why here? And he's like, oh, you said you wanted to meet at dawn. This is open till dawn or something like that.
Why not meet at Denny's for breakfast? The Grand Slam.
They don't got no Denny's in Mexico, man. What the hell wrong with you?
But I love that. I love that. Like I said, when they pan out and you see all the old like tractor trailer trucks that they've just driven off the cliff because they've eaten the people that drive it. All the stuff when they go in that back room, all the shit's in there that they've taken from all the trucks. Love that. And I am glad that, I think it would have been over the top cheesy if Seth had said, Kate, come with me. Or if she said, you want company? And he said, yeah, come along. I think that would have been a little too much. I love the fact that he's like, no, go home. But I do. I mean, I feel bad for her. She has no fucking family left.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's ready to go with fucking Seth. He fucking caused it. She should hate him. It just made no fucking sense. She should have put a bullet in his ass.
What am I supposed to do now? She's
like, what am I supposed to do? I guess I'll go with the guy who just fucking basically murdered my family, took us at gunpoint, and took us out in the middle of the desert and had my family eaten by vampires. Let's hang around. Will you be my guardian?
It's a Stockholm syndrome type of thing with her.
Yeah.
Is that she doesn't know who else to turn to. And this is the only person she's got a connection with now because her mother died, her father died, her brother's dead. What has she got?
I don't know. I don't mean,
I'm not saying that it was a good idea for her to go with him. I'm just saying I see why she'd say that. The
other difference is I think the character development of Seth Gecko is, he never says yes. Right. Without Richie, he runs alone because that's his shtick. and B, you know, he's kind of, I don't want to say the hooker with the heart of gold, but he's obviously a very bad person too. He's maybe not a homicidal maniac and a rapist and, you know, whatever, psychopath, but he's definitely sociopathic and he knows it. He's a career criminal, but it doesn't mean he can't have boundaries and, you know, what's right and what's wrong and good and evil and morals. Yeah. So he plays a dual role.
Yep.
And he does a great job, by the way, as you know, a first movie. You guys were talking about it too. Even the look on his face when they're flashing to the scene of the girl that was murdered, the teller that was murdered, the look on his face tells you so much. He's like, Richie, what have you done? And you can just tell it's like that dad voice where it's like, what have you done? And then you see his face kind of just pallor and drop. And it's, he does a great job. I think, you know, I'm not a huge Clooney fan. I think he's done some good roles, but he's never done anything like this. And it's too bad because I think he could be just like De Niro did Cape Fear and did it great because he's fucking Bobby De Niro and he could do damn near anything. But I think if Clooney took a role, especially as an older actor, as a bad guy, he'd do a great job of it.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. You nailed it, especially with that hooker with the heart of gold comment. I mean, that's exactly what he is here. It's really a great character. It's too bad it just didn't have time to completely develop.
Yeah, he didn't quite get to wrap it up right. Yeah.
No. Okay. Dylan, you want to talk about it? You want to just go to the recasting?
Oh, no, I'm ready to go to the recasting.
Okay. All right. So this will be no surprise. I would replace one Quentin Tarantino with one Crispin Glover. Yay. There you go.
Totally. I need you to see this. I have a Crispin Glover right there because I had 2 recasts and that was one of them.
Awesome. Because it's a good one.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay.
That's your only
Mikki,
one?
Yeah, that's it. I just did the one.
So I had Crispin Glover, and then I would replace. This is kind of out there, but I would replace, even though I love him, Harvey Keitel with John Lithgow.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I like that actually.
It really works.
Thank you.
Okay, Tony, have you recast?
You know what? I apologize because I had a recast and I must have set it on another sheet of paper. So I screwed the pooch on this one. How about this? Just off the top of my head quickly. How about I'm going to recast your favorite, Des. Cheech Marin, he's out, and we're going to bring in Antonio Banderas because although they are similar, he's slicker, he's smoother, he's a lot more European, and he's a pussy lover. So it's all good.
I love it. Oh no! How about Rob Schneider?
You know, the worst part, he could have definitely pulled that shit off because he's great that way. Absolutely.
Great character actor. I had 2 other ones for Seth. I had a beefed up, bulked up Johnny Depp. Like if you would put some muscle on him, I think he could have pulled it off. And of course, you guys know I love to go to Mickey Rourke for everything. So bring him in as Seth. Okay. So
Mickey Rourke is at, I hope that's before the surgery, right?
Oh yeah. No, pre wrestler.
So my recast was I went with the boys from the Boondock Saints. Take out Quentin Tarantino, take out George Clooney, put in Sean Patrick Flannery, put in Norman Reedus.
There you go.
I think I would have liked it.
Yeah.
It works. Yeah, I like it a lot.
You know what else? I do like that. What about Christian Bale as Seth?
Sure. Works.
Yeah, I
100%.
do it.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't talk like this.
Or Christian Bale is Richie. If he when he was closer to like some of his thinner looks. You know?
Honestly, he could have pulled off a Richie.
I actually think I like him more.
Totally American Psycho.
Bale and Tom Hardy.
Ooh.
Tom Hardy.
Seth and Richie.
Okay.
Let's remake this movie.
Okay.
I told you, Des already rewrote the script. We're halfway there.
Yeah, we're halfway there. Okay. So that's
recast. I'm sorry. Let's score.
Let's do it. All right. So for me, the first hour of this movie was a perfect 5. Like this was on its way to being my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm like, I'm liking this more than Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. I'm really liking this. And then we get the second half of the movie, which I scored right around a 2.0, maybe like a 1.95. It's a below average vampire movie. It's not nearly as good as movies like Lost Boys and stuff like that. So 5.2. Let's give it a 3.12. 3.12.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I can't torpedo the first half of this movie. It's fucking amazing. If you like Tarantino, at least watch the first half and then write your own ending. Mikki, what do you got?
I'm going to give it a 3.25 because I
Nice.
do agree with you. I did like the first part of it better. But there are some scenes in the Titty Twister that I really like, and it's fun with the music and drinking and the partying. And I love when he's getting them to, like, you know, do shots with him and teaching him how to bang the glass on the table. So yeah, I'd say 3.25.
All right.
I love when Harvey Keitel says to Clooney, "You're such a loser. You don't know how to win." That was great.
Right.
And Clooney got it. And Clooney got it.
Yeah.
Tony.
I'm going to go with a solid 4, only on the idea that I didn't expect it to be a vampire masterpiece. I concur with you about Tarantino's writing in the first half of the film. He's masterful, obviously. This is early in the career, so we haven't seen a lot from him at this point, but everything he does is pretty much in the same mold, but it's always quality, and this doesn't fail us. A wicked soundtrack, an interesting concept as hell with the last scene. I love that, kind of bring out. And I had a friend of mine who had no idea what an Aztec temple was. So when I told him, he's like, "What?" So, you got to have a little depth, but that's okay. Cause he's not playing checkers. He's 3D, he's playing chess and he's on another level. So, but I enjoy the film. I think it was a neat concept, even though it's campy, and I love the way they bring in, he pays homage to a couple of things. He does the shirt that Scott wears has the Precinct 13 because he's a John Carpenter fan. Rodriguez is in this case. So they bring a lot of tie-ins in, and it's kind of neatly done. I'm still looking for the Des version coming up here in 2025. We're going to get that made. I got some friends in Hollywood. I'll talk to them and get that set up.
Go ahead, Dylan.
All right. So slightly disingenuous, I think, because the thing that you just said about Harvey Keitel saying to him, "Are you such a loser? You don't know when you've won." That happens after they're in the Titty Twister. So
there were two spots that I said that I acknowledged.
I'm just saying. So Quentin Tarantino is still there. Like he's still there. It's just he was working within the framework of Kurtzman's previous work. And you have to understand is in Kurtzman's original work, the entire family lived and both brothers lived. And Quentin Tarantino changed that and killed everybody except for Kate and Seth because he thought it was making for a better story. So just putting that out there. So I'm giving it a score of 3.55 because I think it's a little bit better than average. But there's definitely some campiness that goes a little over the edge. And so it's not like super high on my list, but I still find it serviceable and enjoyable to watch. And
Nice.
Salma Hayek is fucking stunning in this movie. The best she's ever looked in her life. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to a score of 3.48, which lands us at number 17.
Oh, it's way too high. I know people love this movie though, so
It's a
Tell
good
me,
movie.
what is 17 in between?
17. So 16 is Lethal Weapon, the first one. 17 is From Dusk Till Dawn, and 18 is Rare Exports, that movie that we did, the Finnish movie for Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is better than that.
you're so funny.
No, this is better than
He gives
that.
these movies
This is better
good
than that.
scores. He gives these movie good scores, and then later on he's like, "Oh, I gave it too high of a score." It's like, but
Hey,
you
it's
enjoyed
No
it.
Neighbors, man. What do you want?
Your Neighbors should be in the top 10 on this
No.
list.
Where is
100%.
Neighbors?
It's the bottom. It sucks.
It's not the bottom.
It's at
That's
the bottom.
Dylan's personal opinion, by the way.
It's
Not
at
the
the bottom. I'll tell you
Tony-
exactly where it is. Neighbors is, hold on, I'm scrolling, still scrolling.
I want to see
Scrolling.
Tony's score in.
Number 60.
Number
It's
60
at number
wow.
60.
out of
Well,
80.
that's
Out
not
of
terrible. That's in
67.
the top 55 percentile.
Out of 67?
Well, we've
Oh,
done
I thought
80.
they were 100. I'm sorry.
We've done 80, like 82.
But honey, we've got ties.
I know. So what's Neighbors tied with?
It's not. Neighbors is number 60, but it's out of
all by
67
itself.
movies because we've got
67
ties.
Because of
scores.
the
out of
ties,
67
okay.
scores. Okay.
Exactly.
And what's above and below it, Neighbors? Just quickly.
Love Actually is right above it, and Scrooged is right under it.
Fucking murders both of those movies. Murks them both. Okay. Okay.
Love
let's,
Actually is not
Do we
really
really-
a movie. It's more of a soap opera. It's just
Stop
longer.
it.
Do we really
Just
have
kidding,
to go
honey.
through this
Love
every
ya.
single time?
every time until we put it at number 7.
It's not happening. I'll
Okay.
never let that happen. I will die first.
Okay. Okay. I'm thinking about just doing like a one-off show with Tony where we both watch Neighbors and review it again and put it
There
at
you
the
go.
top of the list.
That
Okay.
would be unsanctioned, and it will not make it on the list.
We'll call it
Unsanctioned.
call it
Man,
dude.
rules.
Dude Night. Dude Night with Des and Tony.
Sausage party.
With Des and Tony.
It's a
Okay.
Black Flag song.
Okay.
Oh,
Wiener
God.
Ridge.
All right.
So, we will be back again next week, where we will be reviewing Clue with Tony, original flavor. I've never seen this movie, and I am dreading it. I think this is going to be a fucking slog. Ooh.
Well, with that positive attitude, sir, what could possibly go wrong?
I'm seeing this coming in like 1 point. What did you give Neighbors?
I don't know.
Okay, whatever you
Was
gave
it like
Neighbors.
lower than a 1?
Honey,
Oh,
you can't
yes.
do that. You can't hold shit hostage because you're being a little spoiled child.
I destroyed Fifth Element. I butchered
Yes,
that
you
movie
did.
to death.
You already nuked one movie from outer space. Let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Okay. What, Clues in Outer Space?
No.
No.
Okay. And we will be back next week on our sister podcast, Breaking Vinyl, and we will be reviewing Motley Crue's Theater of Pain.
Nice.
So, there you
Nice.
This was the true
Right.
theater of pain.
go. Okay. Guys, Tony, Mikki, thanks for joining us. It's always fun. Love getting
Thank you.
together for Dysfunctional Date Night. And to the listeners, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're watching or listening to the show on YouTube. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Why are you standing by and letting Neighbors sit at number 60 right in and demand that we move that thing up the list? All right. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.
You cannot petition Neighbors with prayer.
Oh, shit.
Neighbors is never getting out of number 60.
Neighbors, rules.